Hello, CountSacke here, back with another Minecraft Redstone video. Today we are doing an expandable, too tall, ascending door. So let's just get into the opening and closing. It's actually, I really enjoy watching this one. So let's see that again. So yeah, it's actually very compact. Let's get into the dimensions. It is actually in it, and only if you are only to have it if you were just to have one hallway, it would be 2 wide by 2 long by 12 tall. So its volume is actually 48 blocks for at least this, and I am not going to calculate for if it's 15. Let's just get right into the tutorial. Alright, this is your door frame. What you're going to want to do is place, on the top you're going to place a door block here, 2 normal pistons facing downward, and on the bottom you're going to want to do is place 2 sticky pistons facing upward. Now I will say that this closing is a bit locational. It's impossible to fix, at least for how I did it in this case. It's impossible to fix, or maybe it's not. Or yeah, it might be. I don't really know a possible way to fix it yet. But sometimes this one powers it due to random updating in different locations. But hopefully yours works. And yeah. So let's now get into the input and closing circuit. So your closing circuit is actually very simple. All it is just this. Although yeah, this can be a bit locational. So yeah, but in this case I'm just gonna do the basic stuff. And yeah, that's your entire closing circuit, to be honest. Okay, let's get into the bottom. And for the bottom, you're gonna want to do is place a solid block here with a redstone on top of it. Then what you're gonna want to do is place a hopper right beside it and an observer facing upward. Then what you're going to want to do is place an observer facing outward. It needs to detect. Okay, here it is. It detects the detecting side of block updates is on the sticky piston, and it gives a pulse in this direction. And you're going to want to place a observer facing upward. And that's your entire double extension circuit. I will actually explain that later. But what we're going to want to do is do our green circuit. So it's a little strange. Not really strange, but it's how it works. So what you're going to do is place an observer right here and another observer facing upward. Not just a solid block, and you actually need to put this here. Then what you're going to do is place a normal piston right here. This is to redirect the redstone from powering it, because you don't want to power it in the closing. At least don't want to constantly power it. Now you also want to place blocks like so, and a door block, because this actually, your door frame block, because this actually gets pushed down and you can actually see it. And here you place just random block, another random block, and then observer facing in this direction. Make sure so that it powers this. That's pretty important. Place a normal piston facing upward, and that's your entire. That's actually the entire circuit. Yeah, that's it. Although you might be confused, what do you need a copy if you want to make this expandable? So I'm just gonna bring this out to 4. So obviously you need to copy the setup, bring this over and over like that. Your closing will have to be like this, and it would be like this. It becomes less coordinate dependent when you actually expand it more than one, obviously, because this one actually turns to the side instead of this. Yeah, but sometimes even with this, sometimes this extends and it's really annoying, but there's nothing I can really do about it. So yeah, that's your closing for expanding it. And for this, all you need to do is also bring out this and bring out this wire, and as well as all these hoppers. I'm sorry, this is a little expensive, but and then you're going to also want to do is place the observer facing upward. Basically, you have to copy the double extension circuit, which is actually the Cayenne circuit from, and that's pretty much all you need to copy if you want this to be expandable. As you can see, it works perfectly fine. Let me get into the explanation. I don't know why I did that, so let's get into the explanation. Okay, so the explanation. The closing is very simple. All it just does is when you power this block, it powers the redstone dust and the redstone dust under it, and it powers the piston, and it powers this piston after it extends. Hopefully it doesn't power this one first, but in this case it works. So yeah, that's all that does. Now as for like the other circuits, the green and the Cayenne circuit somewhat depend on each other, but this circuit is, well, no, okay. The circuit is the double extension circuit. So what on earth happens here? So what happens here is that this is your double extender. So what we needed to do is do this. And in this case, we need to give it 2 1-tick pulses. Sound familiar? As you can see, that's what we need to do. One 1-tick pulse and another 1-tick pulse. And that's how we do the extension that's how we do the opening. But we need to actually time it correctly. And that's what this green circuit is for. Now you may notice that it's strange how it's able to. Now you may notice that in the opening it actually does it twice, but in the closing it only does it once. That is because of, and this is controlled by this little part right here. And what happens is that when this, in the closing, what happens is that this extends and it doesn't get any more things to get. It doesn't find any more updates, so it only gives out 1 pulse. And also that because these are constantly powered, the double extender cannot extend upward, so it doesn't actually do anything, even though it gets a pulse. So no matter how many times I try to 1-tick pulse this, it's still just not going to extend because these are unmovable blocks right now. And yeah. Now, as for the second pulse, what happens is that first, when you unflick the lever, these unpower. The observer detects that this retracted, and it sends 1 pulse to do the opening to activate the double extender. Then what happens is that since it double extends upward, what happens is that this sticky piston right here gets pushed upward, and this observer detects that and sends a second pulse to this thing. And what happens is that it pulses, it allows the double extender to retract, giving our 2 pulses. Now if you want slow-mo, I'll just have it right here and play for you in a couple seconds. So, yeah, that's really about all it is for this video, to be honest. And yeah, I really love this thing, to be honest. It's really compact, and I really love how it can do it. So yeah, let's get into that slow-mo.